What I am tracking right now is a pattern that is going to produce not one, not two, but a series of winter storms impacting the United States over the next 7 to 10 days. And the way this is setting up has some elements that are deeply concerning from both a winter weather perspective and a severe weather perspective. We are looking at what meteorologists call a storm train, a pattern where multiple storm systems follow the same general track in rapid succession, each one reinforcing and building upon the impacts of the one before it. The core impact zones are going to be the Midwest, the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, the Rockies, and portions of the West Coast, with heavy snow, high winds, and hazardous travel conditions developing across a very wide area beginning tonight and continuing through at least the middle of next week. On top of that, we have a severe weather setup developing across the Ohio Valley for Thursday that carries tornado risk. Not common for mid-February, but not impossible given the atmospheric dynamics we are seeing. And beyond that, there is growing model support for a potential nor'easter developing along the East Coast this weekend that could bring significant snow to portions of the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Behind all of this, we are going to see dramatic temperature swings, with some regions experiencing sharp drops into Arctic air, while others see rapid warming that could lead to localized flooding concerns where heavy snowpack exists. The storm train I am referring to is being driven by a very active and amplified jet stream pattern that has established itself across the Pacific and is now extending into North America. What we are seeing is wave after wave of Pacific energy riding along this jet stream, moving onshore across the West Coast, lifting over the Rockies, and then intensifying as they move into the central and eastern United States. The spacing between these waves is tight, roughly 24 to 48 hours, which means that as soon as one system clears out, the next one is already developing. That rapid-fire sequencing is what gives this pattern its cumulative impact potential. Road crews do not have time to fully clear and treat roads, and for areas that are going to see multiple rounds of heavy snow, the totals are going to add up quickly. Snow is currently developing across Montana, Wyoming, and the western Dakotas, and that snow is going to intensify through tonight and into tomorrow morning as the first system moves east. The heaviest snow from this initial storm is going to fall across a corridor that stretches from eastern Montana through North Dakota, South Dakota, and into Minnesota. Cities like Billings, Bismarck, Rapid City, and Fargo are all going to see significant accumulation from this system. I am expecting widespread totals of 8 to 14 inches across the core impact zone, with isolated locations in the higher elevations potentially seeing 16 to 20 inches. Wind is going to be a major factor with this first storm, with gusts of 35 to 45 miles per hour creating blowing and drifting snow that is going to make travel extremely hazardous across much of the northern plains through tomorrow. Visibility is going to drop to near zero in the heaviest bands, and whiteout conditions are going to be widespread. I-90 and I-94 across Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota are going to see extended periods of dangerous or impassable conditions. The snow from this first system is going to begin to taper off across the northern plains by late tomorrow, but by that point, the second system is already going to be developing across the central Rockies. The second storm in the sequence is going to take a slightly more southern track than the first, and that is going to shift the primary impact zone south into Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. This system is going to develop late Wednesday and intensify as it moves east on Thursday. The heaviest snow from the second storm is going to fall across the Front Range of Colorado, the eastern plains of Colorado and Kansas, and into Nebraska and Iowa. Denver, Colorado Springs, Wichita, Omaha, and Des Moines are all cities I am watching closely for this second event. Snowfall totals from this system are likely going to be in the range of 6 to 12 inches across the Central Plains, with higher amounts possible in the foothills and higher elevations west of Denver. I-70, I-76, and I-80 across Colorado, Kansas, and Nebraska are all going to see significant travel disruptions on Thursday and Thursday night. Even as the second storm is moving through the Central Plains, the third system is going to be developing across the Pacific Northwest and moving into the northern Rockies. This third storm is going to reinforce the pattern and bring another round of heavy mountain snow to the Cascades, the northern Rockies, and eventually the northern plains by Friday and Saturday. The western impact zones, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, are going to see multiple rounds of heavy snow over the next several days, and mountain pass closures are going to be widespread. For areas along the I-5 corridor in western Washington and Oregon, this is going to be primarily a rain event, but rainfall totals are going to be significant, potentially 3 to 6 inches in some locations, and that is going to create localized flooding concerns. The Rockies themselves are going to be in a continuous heavy snow pattern from now through at least the weekend. Now I need to address the severe weather component of this forecast, because it is happening simultaneously with the winter weather, but in a completely different part of the same overall storm system. The second storm that is going to be moving through the Central Plains on Thursday is going to have a very pronounced warm sector ahead of it, and that warm sector is going to be drawing warm, moist, unstable air northward out of the Gulf of Mexico. At the same time, strong wind shear is going to be present across the lower Mississippi Valley and the Ohio Valley, and the combination of instability and shear is going to create an environment that supports severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. The timing of this threat is going to be Thursday afternoon through Thursday night, and the primary area of concern is going to be a corridor that runs from eastern Arkansas and western Tennessee through Kentucky and into southern Ohio and West Virginia. This is an unusual setup for February. Tornado outbreaks in the Ohio Valley during the middle of winter are not common, but they do happen when you get the right combination of dynamics, and that is what we are looking at here. If you live in or near the Ohio Valley, this is something you need to be aware of and prepared for. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive warnings, know where your safe place is, and have a flashlight ready. Beyond the second storm and the severe weather threat, the third major element of this forecast is the potential for a nor'easter to develop along the East Coast this weekend. I want to be clear about this. Confidence in this piece of the forecast is lower than confidence in the storm train across the central United States, but the signals are there and they are strong enough that this needs to be on your radar if you live anywhere from Washington, D.C. north through Boston. What we are watching is the potential for a coastal low to develop off the Carolina coast late Friday or early Saturday, and then track northward along the eastern seaboard. If this system develops as some of the models are suggesting, it could bring significant snow to portions of the mid-Atlantic and southern New England, with the potential for 8 to 16 inches or more in the heaviest bands. The challenge with nor'easters is always the exact track of the low-pressure center, because a shift of just 50 miles east or west can mean the difference between a major snowstorm and a minor event. Right now, the model guidance is showing a range of possible solutions, and we are going to need another 24 to 48 hours of data before I can speak with high confidence about specific snowfall totals for cities like Washington, Philadelphia, New York, and Boston. What I can say is that the pattern supports the development of a coastal storm, and if the pieces come together, this could be a significant event for the I-95 corridor. The final piece of this forecast is the temperature pattern, and this is where things get particularly volatile. Behind the storm train, we are going to see a major intrusion of Arctic air dropping down from Canada and spreading across the central and eastern United States. This cold air is going to arrive in stages, with the northern tier seeing the coldest temperatures first, followed by a southward surge that will bring well below normal temperatures all the way to the Gulf Coast by the weekend. Morning lows on Saturday and Sunday across the northern plains and upper Midwest are going to be in the single digits below zero to around 10 above zero, with wind chills dropping to 20 to 40 below zero in some locations. Across the southern plains and the southeast, morning lows are going to be in the teens and 20s, which is 20 to 30 degrees below normal for mid-February. What makes this particularly impactful is that any snow or ice that is accumulated is not going to have any opportunity to melt. At the same time, ahead of the Arctic air, there are going to be areas that see a surge of warmer air, particularly across the southern United States on Wednesday and Thursday before the cold front moves through. That warm surge could push temperatures into the 60s and 70s across Texas and the southeast. And if you combine that warmth with heavy snowpack in areas that saw significant accumulation earlier in the week, you are looking at the potential for rapid snowmelt and localized flooding. I want to consolidate the regional timing and impacts here so that this is as clear as possible. Tonight through tomorrow, the primary impact zone is the northern Rockies and the northern plains, with heavy snow and blowing snow creating hazardous conditions across Montana, the Dakotas, and Minnesota. Wednesday and Thursday, attention shifts to the central Rockies and the central plains, with heavy snow developing across Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa, and and severe weather developing across Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and the Ohio Valley. Thursday night through Friday, the winter weather impacts spread into the Midwest and the Great Lakes, and we begin to watch for the potential coastal development along the East Coast. Friday night through the weekend, the nor'easter threat comes into focus for the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, and Arctic air begins to spread across the entire eastern two-thirds of the country. The states that are going to see the most significant winter weather impacts from the storm train include Montana, Wyoming, the Dakotas, Minnesota, Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The states that are going to see the most significant severe weather risk include Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. The states that are most likely to be impacted by the potential nor'easter include Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. This is an evolving and highly dynamic weather pattern, and the next week is going to require close attention to updated forecasts as each of these systems develops and moves through. The storm train is already underway, the severe weather threat is building, and the nor'easter potential is something we are going to be tracking very closely over the next 48 hours. Make sure you are staying informed, have emergency supplies in place, and are prepared for the possibility of extended winter weather impacts if you are in any of the core impact zones. I will continue to provide updates as this pattern evolves. Thank you for following this coverage and stay with us for continued information.